What's going on, everybody? I am Winston Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show for when you need to know, see what happened was. Now, if this is your first time here, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit that notification bell and throw a thumbs up on this if you enjoy the content. I just want to take a quick moment and say thank you to everybody that was patient. Obviously, I know I am running a little bit late here. I normally get out of class right around 1:30, and it's a straight shot here. Unfortunately, I got out of class and there is major construction going on at the freeway entrance from my class. And so what ended up happening is then I had to take an entire detour to get here. So I just got home. It took me an hour to get home. If you don't ever have a reason to get to LA to live here, don't cause bro, this traffic alone is enough to make you want to go absolutely bananas. But yeah, before we jump into the stories and, see a lot of them in the description there, I just want to kind of give you an update on all the things that are going on right now. A lot of you know, hopefully that's a little better on the sound. A lot of you know that obviously my car broke down 2 weeks ago. I just got it back today. I'll be honest with you, it has not driven this well since I got the car. Which is wild. I guess just goes to show that there really were some major issues with it. Very blessed that it's not going to cost me the $5,300 that was quoted initially from the first place I took it to. That's why you never go to the dealership. But it did set me back $2,600. Obviously, I got the car fixed, so I had enough to do that. But now I am pretty flat broke. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I'm enough to pay my bills, but I ain't got nothing right now. I am broke as a joke, man. I'm going to be eating ramen noodles for a while. So that being said, what we're actually going to be doing to try and offset some of that, I am going to be doing a marathon stream on March 30th. Put it in your calendars right now. On March 30th, I will be doing a 12-hour stream. We'll be doing everything from playing video games like Marvel Rivals. I'm going to get into, people have been telling me about Split Fiction, so I'm going to check that out. We're doing some Jackbox together, man. We'll throw some old school throwback games on. We're going to do a lot of fun stuff. We'll do Q&As. Going to watch a movie or two. It's going to be a good time. You don't want to miss it. So that's March 30th. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, youtube.com/theswaggyblerd. You can also find me on twitch.tv/theswaggyblerd. All that being said, with the extra time I have as well, I will be up there doing that as well. So I'll just be streaming in general a decent amount to try and make up for that. But either way, super excited to be here with you guys. The one other thing that may happen, I know we just got to this 2 o'clock time and I'm trying to be consistent with everything that's going on. I will probably need to pick up some more work as well. And if that's the case, that means Tuesdays are going to get kind of sectioned off for me to do that, in which case we may move back to the evenings. Let me know. Let me put the poll up right now and see if we switched back to 6 p.m. PST, would you be rocking with it? So we'll start that poll and let's see what y'all think. Let me know one way or the other. But yes, what I would be trying to do, because it's the job that I work, I kind of have it sectioned off on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I can do my other job and I can do this with you guys and all that. It pays really well. That's the thing. It's not even guaranteed that I get those days. So I could open up those days for work and still not get scheduled, but it'll give me the opportunity to open that up for at least a month and try and recoup some of the losses. So let me know what you think with that poll, one way or the other, if you'd be okay with that evening show again. But with all that, let's get to the reason why you're here, man. We have a lot of crazy stories going on. Let's start off with the first one. Luke Cage star Mike Colter was talking about possibly returning to Marvel after Daredevil Born Again's successful launch. This is Josh Wilding at Comic Book Movie. Mike Colter first played Power Man in Jessica Jones and later took center stage in 2 seasons of his solo series, Luke Cage. The actor also reprised the role in The Defenders and was well regarded by comic book fans. Some questionable decisions were made in Luke Cage Season 2, and the hero's story ended with him becoming Harlem's new crime boss. That cliffhanger was never resolved, and the show's first season remains one of the original Marvel Television's best-reviewed titles. I'm going to have to rewatch Luke Cage, man. I really like that show. Marvel Studios regained the rights to the Marvel Television characters who appeared on Netflix, and Daredevil has been a clear priority for the MCU. Rumors continue to swirl about Kristen Ritter returning as Jessica Jones in Daredevil Born Again. But for the time being, she, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist remain on the shelf. Talking to Collider at Indiana Comic-Con, Colter weighed in on the possibility of returning as the hero for hire following Daredevil Born Again's successful launch on Disney+, where it quickly became the streamer's biggest 2025 release. I still have hopes for it, the actor admitted. I don't think about it anymore. I think there's always time. I don't think it's impossible. I mean, anything can happen. While there's a chance we'll see Colter's Luke Cage in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, fans were theorized that both he and Danny Rand will be benched until after Avengers Secret Wars. In a softly rebooted MCU, Marvel Studios can put a new spin on the heroes for hire, likely with different lead stars. Marvel Animation's Eyes of Wakanda is expected to feature a new Iron Fist, while rumors swirled over the weekend that another version of the hero, likely not Danny Rand, will take center stage in the long-awaited Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings sequel. I would love to explore it if they found some story, some way, somewhere to take it, Colter said last year. And I'm happy that Charlie Cox and those are getting it rebooted, but I don't have any idea if Luke Cage is getting rebooted. I'm not holding anything back. I think that's the right move, Colter said, of Daredevil Born Again, which is essentially Daredevil Season 4. They should have never tried to reboot it. No. I don't know what that was about. I'm like, well, yeah, duh. It's not broke, so don't fix it. Would you like to see Colter play Luke Cage again, or do you want them to move into a new direction? All right, let's jump into the second story, actually, because the second story kind of... Oops. Sorry about that. The second story kind of piggybacks off of that, right? So that's Mike Colter and what he had to say about the situation. But here's the second one. So are the Defenders actually returning in Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again? This is Mark Cassidy. So the first story came out around 7 a.m., and then the immediate follow-up to that story, this came out at 9 a.m. These are both Eastern time, so this is Mark Cassidy. Ahead of tonight's episode of Daredevil Born Again, we have a new rumor relating to the current shooting second season. If you haven't been keeping up with the previous rumors and set photos, spoilers will follow. At this stage in the show, this is a minor spoiler. I read through this article already. At this stage of the show, Mayor Wilson Fisk has already made his feelings about costume vigilantes very clear. I won't read this next one because this is a pretty big spoiler. But it seems the former kingpin of crime will take his crusade to a whole new level by putting an anti-vigilante task force together at some point. Who this crew will consist of remains to be seen, though there are more than enough corrupt NYPD officers out there, but it sounds like the man without fear, Charlie Cox, will have a response. According to Daniel Reichman, Season 2 of Born Again will focus on him recruiting a team to take on Fist's anti-vigilante task force. Will the Defenders reform? We have heard that at least one other member will appear in Season 2, but we can't see the exact same lineup of Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist making up this new team. The likes of Elektra, Misty Knight, and Colin Wing are also possibilities, but this would give Marvel the perfect opportunity to introduce some new street-level heroes we haven't seen in live action before. We may have a better idea of what to expect after tonight's episode, so be sure to check back after that happens. Okay, yep, let's do it. So, first things first, I would absolutely love to see Mike Colter back as Luke Cage. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. It's funny because I feel like I remember when the show was kind of wrapping up, when Defenders was wrapping up, he was a little over it at the time just because you had to be in a crazy amount of shape. Like in a crazy amount of shape in order to actually make shit happen. And I don't blame him for being like, look, man, I don't want to do it. But like, especially I think about older folks like Batista, Dave Batista. He was like, hey man, I'm pushing through my 60s. I don't want to be this jacked and play Drax forever. I love the character, but I want to move on. I don't blame Mike, who I want to say right now, let me look up his age. Let's see, Mike Colter. Mike is 48. He's almost 50, right? So this show was kind of prominent like roughly about 10 years ago, just under 10 years. So he would have been 38. So it doesn't mean that you still stay in shape and people will do that. But like if they were like going hard, I mean, he's got to stay jack for a while. And even Chris Hemsworth, who did it, and Hugh Jackman, who did it, like they were still tired doing that shit. They did it because they love it and all that, and it's not on the same level as like say Wolverine, who was in every X-Men movie, or Thor, who was in every Avengers movie. You know what I'm saying? Like it was still a big deal. but you're not getting like bajillions of dollars to do that. So I don't blame him. But all that being said, if he wants to come back, I want him back badly because he literally perfectly personifies the character, in my opinion. Like, he absolutely crushed the role. You know, I think everybody agrees that him, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil are all spot on. You can kind of go back and forth about how people feel about Iron Fist, though it did get better in the second season. But I still stand by it. I would rather see Luke, and if you don't want to do a full Luke Cage show and a full Iron Fist show, do a Heroes for Hire show. And it's Luke and Iron Fist kind of doing their thing, working together, et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of close up some of the stuff going on with Luke and his storyline and whatnot. The same way you did kind of Daredevil Born Again to kind of wrap into new stuff. I think that would be fantastic. Jessica Jones was a great show, especially that first season was so good. So I would absolutely love to see that go down. Whether or not they do it, I think for the time being, unless we get to the end of Born Again and it is so fantastic, and then the Punisher special presentation is so fantastic, they are going to slow their roll. It does not mean that they will not be there, but like, we will not, in my opinion, see them again, any of them, until Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And even then, it'll be a loose kind of situation. I don't think it's going to be anything like super major. It'll almost be kind of like what we have seen so far in Born Again with Bullseye, which there's a possibility we'll see Bullseye again. But for those that are already well deep in the show, you know what I mean about the length of things going on. So that's my opinion. That's kind of where I feel like this is going. Let me know what you think, man. Are you trying to see this same cast come back in? Do you just want the characters but a different cast? Do you not want them at all? What other street level heroes are you trying to see, man? It was cool to, that we're getting White Tiger so far, and I'm excited to see what continues to go on from there. So like, let me know what you're thinking in the comments, and let's go ahead and pop off to our next story. Woo, Lordy Jesus. As Michael B. Jordan is speaking on working with Jonathan Majors again, audio leaks of the King actor admits that he aggressed his ex. All right, so let's start. There's going to be two stories kind of also put together. It's the first one from Action News, which is like a spinoff of Comic Book Movie. This is Mark Julian, who did this one early on the 17th yesterday, that Michael B. Jordan confirms that he wants Jonathan Majors in Creed 4. In Jonathan Majors' first profile interview since the 2023 allegations and trial regarding the harassment and assault of his ex-girlfriend, British dancer Grace Jabari, it seems as if some Hollywood elite are ready to put Majors' past behind them. Now fired from Marvel Studios and his upcoming would-be awards contender Magazine Dreams dumped to March, Majors is looking at how to rebuild his career. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, Majors can count on the support of Matthew McConaughey, who previously worked with Majors on White Boy Rick. I've known and know him as someone who is continuously striving to improve as a human, a man, and an actor. I believe in him, McConaughey stated. Majors' Creed 3 star Michael B. Jordan is also showing the support for Majors' career resurgence, adding, "I would love to make Creed 4 together, among other projects." This echoes previous statements made by Jordan back in February. It's a tough situation, but he's doing great, just got engaged, proud of his resilience, his strength through it all, and his handling of it. I'm glad he's good. That's my boy. In the interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Majors also revealed that he's in talks to sign up for a new superhero movie role, although it's not a DC or Marvel project. No relation to the big guys, DC or Marvel, but a pretty wicked story I'm glad to be reading. As for Creed 4, Michael B. Jordan is currently confirmed to be returning to the director's chair for the next installment and has previously expressed a desire to see Sylvester Stallone's Rocky Balboa also return. Getting Stallone to return might be a tough sell, as the veteran actor star has previously shared that he's done with the spinoff, as he didn't care for the creative direction taken for Creed 3, and that he will not be involved in future Creed films unless significant changes occur. To date, the 3 installments in the Creed franchise amassed $663.8 million worldwide from production budgets totaling only $165 million, which is pretty damn good. So that was at, again, 9:03 a.m. Eastern Time yesterday. Well, let's see. That says Daredevil. We already did that. That says Luke Cage. We already did that. Where is it? There it is. So then at 1 p.m. Eastern Time yesterday, we had former King actor Jonathan Majors admits to strangling Grace Jabari in a newly unearthed audio. Last year, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Loki actor Jonathan Majors was found guilty of 2 misdemeanor counts of harassment and assault, as well as not guilty on 2 additional charges of additional intentional assault in the 3rd degree and aggravated harassment in the 2nd degree against his then-girlfriend Grace Jabari. Though some industry insiders believe that the judge might decide to give Majors a taste of jail, he managed to escape with 1 year of domestic violence counseling, which he has now served. Jabari also dismissed the federal lawsuit against him last November. Last week, The Hollywood Reporter published a piece which was viewed as an attempt to rehabilitate Majors' image as he makes plans for a Hollywood comeback, but many remain unconvinced. Now, Rolling Stone has shared some newly unearthed audio, which could prove to be a huge setback for the actor. Let me see if I can pull the audio for you guys. Give me just a moment. Here it is. Okay, turn this on. All right, let me know if you can hear this.
I'm ashamed. I've never wrestled with a woman before. I mean, it's just, I've never aggressed a woman. I aggressed you. Like,
you strangled me and pushed me against the car.
Yeah, all those things are under aggressed.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's never happened to me. So I
because I said something sarcastically, if in your eyes.
Clearly it's more than that.
Yeah.
Clearly
something inside of you.
Yeah, towards you.
Okay, let me go back here. Okay, the conversation was reportedly captured in the aftermath of a days-long fight between Majors and Jabari in September of 2022. The actor had been living with his ex in London while shooting the 2nd season of Loki. The tape captures Jabari confronting Majors about the alleged attack. "I'm ashamed I've ever," Majors begins before cutting himself off. "I've never been aggressive with a woman before. I've never aggressed a woman. I aggressed you. You strangled me and pushed me up against the car," Jabari interjects. "Yes, all those things are under aggress. Yeah, that's never happened to me." "Because I said something sarcastically in your eyes," Jabari responds. "Well, clearly it's more than that," Majors says. "Something inside of you," Jabari replies. "Yeah, towards you," Majors agrees before the recording cuts off, as you just heard. Marvel decided to pivot away from Kang after Majors was sentenced and announced that Robert Downey Jr. would play Dr. Doom in the Avengers movie that was originally known to be Kang Dynasty. Even so, one would assume that there must still be some loose ends to tie up when it comes to the villain. According to a recent rumor, Kevin Feige might be considering bringing Majors back into the fold. At the very least, there does seem to be plans to revisit the Kang character, though he would likely be played by a different actor. Honestly, we say the studio working with Majors again is a long shot, especially now that original plans have changed so much as we head towards Doomsday. Anything is possible, of course, but there would still be a significant degree of controversy associated with rebuilding a relationship with the actor, and we don't see Marvel, or more specifically Disney, taking that chance. Okay. Oh boy. So here's the thing. The one thing that I've said above all else, especially based on what he was found for, and people love to bring up Robert Downey Jr. and how he was allowed to have a second comeback, the one thing I said above all else is you needed time. This is probably going to come out one way or the other. This was going to drop, this audio, at some point. Realistically, if he was ever going to attempt to make a comeback like this, I think he just needed to go away for a while. Honestly, I think it was a little too soon based off of how a lot of people are feeling with stuff. And now this comes out. And now you've just kind of pushed back more again. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, this whole thing again was very messy. You had heard a lot of rumors, and it's hard to tell because of the internet of people being like, no, he's this, he's that, he actually is very aggressive, he is a problem, etc., 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 right? So what you needed was space and time for people to really forget, to focus on other things. I mean, look at the state of how people are feeling about a lot of things going on in the country right now, about all sorts of governmental cuts and certain rappers going full Nazi and all sorts of other things that have been going on. Let all of this other crap happen, and then if you really had made that full turnaround, then you can come back with it. I think this was a mistake to try and push in to a recovery so quickly because we're not that far removed from it. So now, especially with this audio dropping, we're right back, it feels like, to square one. It's one of those things where, again, you make a mistake or things like that, people can understand and fix it. Like, even though this is all related to the same thing, it just, because of how it's being presented, it feels like a pattern of some sort, and that's where you end up in serious trouble. So, like, look, I genuinely hope whatever the classes he had to go to and things like that, now that he's with, you know, Megan Good, all that kind of stuff, I genuinely hope that whatever these demons are behind him. You know, it sounds like he's served the time that he was assigned for the whole situation, since it was like this particular situation and what we saw on video. That was the part that was like weird, because again, we did see him running away and things like that. And the fact that she pulled back her story, or her lawsuit and thing with prejudice and things like that. Like, there's a lot there where it's just kind of like, okay. But again, something like this, I just think you need to just back off, and then we need to see through your actions more than anything, and have nothing else come out about it, because otherwise this just looks bad. This looks really, really bad. And the one thing that Disney's not going to do right now, to be honest with you, they're not going to like embed themselves in more drama and criticism when they already feel like they're catching flack from all sides for a various number of reasons, whether it being called too woke or things like that on the one hand, or being said that they are undercutting diversity and things and like DEI and things like that on the other. Like, they really want to kind of stay out of it. And if you're trying to right the ship with the MCU, the last thing you need is to draw up more drama here. Because like even Brave New World had to go through a million different changes for a number of different reasons, but a large part of that was because of people's response to Sabra being in the movie, and so then the role changed a decent amount and the script changed and things like that. So like, I just think they need to genuinely either new actor or just fully back away. I don't know how you do. You could show what looks like Kang, and Doom just incinerates him or something and takes his powers. I don't know, but I just think you gotta just at this particular juncture just take steps back. Can you imagine also you Michael B. Jordan and you kind of just don't say anything about this whole situation, and then the day after you do that, that audio drops? Like, damn. So yeah, man, I think there's a long way to go. I'm curious what y'all have to say about the whole situation. Let me know in the comments one way or the other what you're feeling about it. And let's hop on to our next story. So it looks like we already have the Superman runtime. We also got a glowing test screening, and Jennifer Holland has potentially joined the cast. This is Josh Wilding from Comic Book Movie. Superman is one of the year's most highly anticipated movies, so it's not exactly surprising to see so much buzz, both positive and negative, around James Gunn's long-awaited reboot. Test screenings have dominated the conversation in recent weeks, and in the latest edition of his newsletter, Jeff Schneider, as Christian likes to do, shared a few more details. Chief among them is that he's heard Superman's current runtime is roughly 140 minutes. That's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. That Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was Gunn's longest movie at 150, while his DCEU debut, The Suicide Squad, was 132, so it's a little bit in between. Spoke to someone this weekend who's seen Superman, and they really liked it, the insider explained. They said David Cornsweet delivers as a Man of Steel, and that the jokey moments I mentioned on my podcast, The Hot Mic, were initially viewed out of context and worked much better within the flow of the edit. They compared to how Gunn balanced the humor and the drama in The Suicide Squad, saying it was genuinely funny moments, but it also knows when to drop the shtick and get serious, Schneider added. That's a glowing review and will come as music to the ears of those of you concerned the Guardians of the Galaxy director might not be a good fit for the Man of Tomorrow. Gunn has proven himself a master at balancing emotion and humor. Volume 3 is a good example of this, so this bodes well for Superman. In other news, personal trainer Paolo Mascietti has shared some photos from the time he spent working with the Superman cast. Picture of David Cornsweet, Eddie Gathigi, keep messing his name up, I'm very sorry, Nicholas Holt, Sarah Sampaio, Maria Gabrielle de Faria, this is so hard for me, Rachel Brosnahan, I only know that because I've heard it a million times, and Jennifer Holland. Now, Gunn previously shared a photo of him touring the Superman set with Holland and Freddie Stroma, both of whom star in Peacemaker. He said at the time that neither of them were in the movie, but why else would the Amelia Harcourt actress be training alongside Superman's lead stars? Holland is married to Gunn, so it's possible she's just visiting while he was knee-deep in production. Still, with Harcourt set to return for Peacemaker Season 2 in August, it would make sense for her to have a small role in the film. Let's see here. Oh, there's Holt. There's Eddie. Oh, yeah, no, she's in there training. Superman, DC Studios' first feature film to hit the big screens, is set to soar to theaters worldwide this summer for Warner Brother Pictures on July 11th. All right. Couple things. First of all, runtime seems like a great kind of modest thing, nothing crazy. 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think we can all deal with that. Not hitting a full 2:30 is kind of great. You can kind of hedge your bet where it's a little longer, but not anything crazy, so nobody's going to be too upset about it. I stand by what I've said every single time someone mentions, a screening. I keep saying I don't care about the screening news until we get to finished product screenings. The reason why is, again, the shit continues to edit. Now, this does fall back into what I was talking about, and that I felt like this probably, it was it seems jokey, but within what context, and then will that fall how it needs to? So again, I mentioned the Suicide Squad talking to Christian on Capes and Cows on Friday. We had talked about Guardians, both 2 and 3, and, he thought that 2 was a little heavy on it, but as he's gone back and rewatched it, Christian's also been like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. It actually had more heart to it. So I was never concerned about it necessarily one way or the other, because this isn't, Love and Thunder and Taika Waititi where, it felt like maybe he was a little over it. Gunn has made it very clear how much he cares, not just about this universe, but specifically about this character in this movie. So I don't think I was ever necessarily worried about that, but I stand by what I've been saying. I am not worried about screenings, these test screenings, until we get to a place where this is it. Movies dropping in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So now press is getting involved. This is the final cut going out, maybe a little tweaks here and there on special effects and then the 11th hour, but overall we're done. If I start hearing stuff then, if I see it myself then, if I'm able to get my access back to do that, then I'm concerned. But right now we are still in the phase of, this is like the third draft of your final thesis paper, but before you get your PhD, you turn in. And the people that are going to be kind of deciding whether or not you becoming a doctor, being like, well, you didn't really prove this argument well, or wow, you really did this. Can you add to this, et cetera, et cetera. That is what we're going to see here over and over. People are still getting notes. That's what these screenings are. So I am not concerned about any of that until we get to closer to the 11th hour. So all that being said, man, it is what it is. Cool. Glad to see that, that somebody, actually does like it, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit until we get close, because it's not helpful. And as far as Jennifer Holland, first of all, anybody that keeps saying like, why does Gunn keep putting his family, his brother and his wife and stuff, first of all, you better motherfucking believe that if anybody has any sort of job, I've said this before about Nepo babies. Let's take it a step further. I don't have a problem with a Nepo baby. I don't have a problem with someone being like, I'm going to put my son, my daughter, my niece, my nephew into this movie. If they're good. If they're bad, okay, you did the one time, we move on. But if they're good and you want to keep doing that because you like working with them, that's fine. How many times has Michael B. Jordan now worked with Ryan Coogler? Because they are a tandem that works exceptionally well. Okay, they're not married, but they're homeboys. They're best friends, so they keep doing films together. If James wants to keep putting his brother and putting his wife and stuff, especially when you have a situation here with his wife where there's an active character that it will still be a part of the DC universe that's coming forward, yeah, okay. And I think it would make sense, especially if you're trying to bridge the gap with Peacemaker, to have somebody from that show up. So I think that'd be cool. So I'm here for it, man. I'm definitely down to see what's actually going to end up happening, but we're just going to have to wait and see when it all is said and done, man. So let me know what you think down in the comments about the time, about the screenings, about Jennifer potentially joining the cast. Let me know what you think about all of it. I see a lot of folks have come into the room. I appreciate it. Donovan Martin, Seattle KO, Fillmore Pockets, Abernathy Ra, take it or leave it. Lots of folks in there, and I really appreciate y'all coming through. and watching the show. I'll be sure to check that poll at the end there. And on top of that, man, as I've said before, if you would like to get questions in or support the show, streamlabs.com/theswaggyblerd/tip. Let me go ahead and pin this as well so you can see that. You can click on that link there to take it right there. So you can do that. You can also throw in the super chat. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, got my car back. Thank goodness. Did not cost me the $5,300 I was originally quoted. I took it to my normal mechanic instead of the dealership who was trying to obviously ream me. Still sent me back $2,600. So I will be doing on March 30th. It's just a reminder. I'll be doing a marathon stream, 12 hours. I'll be doing all the good stuff, man. We'll be playing games, so Rivals and Split Fiction and Jackbox and all that good stuff. We'll be doing Q&As. We'll be watching movies together. It'll be a good time. Potentially have some special guests. I'm going to talk to some folks about that, so you let me know. Please put that on your calendars. And again, I appreciate each and every little bit of support right now because, again, I was fortunate enough to be able to pay for it, but when I tell you I am flat broke at this point, like I have enough to pay my rent and eat ramen noodles, I'm not kidding. Like I'm gonna be out here hustling, which is why the poll even came up about me moving this back to the evening on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because that would allow me to open up my days for my day job working at the studio that I work at. I don't get scheduled even if I have the day open always, but it would give me the option to leave that day open to potentially make some more money. So let me know in the polls if you would be okay with me going back to the evenings, because we've only done a few of these at midday. But yeah. You see the vintage video games? Look, man, I made the mistake previously, for anybody that remembers GameStop, of selling some of that stuff in the past for pennies on the motherfucking dollar. And it's just not worth doing that. If someone came to me and I was like, yeah, here's old school Mario Kart 64, and they're like, I'll give you $10K for that shit, you bet your ass I'll do that. But it would go for like $5, and then somebody would sell it, on eBay for like 45, like assholes. So anyways, all right, let's go on to the next story. I think it's our last one, second to last one. Hold on. Nope, we got two more. So here we go. Here's the next one. Colin Farrell is in talks to play the DCU's Sergeant Rock. So the question is now, is the Penguin dead? And I don't necessarily mean the character, but I do mean the show. And how does this also, because there was talks of maybe a season 2, and how this affects the Batman Part 2. This is Josh Wilding that reported on this morning. Yesterday afternoon, the news broke that the Penguin star Colin Farrell is in talks to play the title character in DC Studios' Sergeant Rock movie. Daniel Craig has been eyed by filmmaker Luca Guadagnino for his next feature, but ultimately he passed. That wouldn't be the first time for the former 007 has missed out on a superhero role, as he was supposed to suit up as Thor's brother Balder in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Madness's Illuminati sequence. Back to Farrell, though, and the response to him pulling double duty in the DCU as Sergeant Rock and the Penguin in Matt Reeves' Batverse has been a little mixed. There have also been questions about whether this casting will have an impact on the Batman Part 2, a movie many believe will never happen at this particular rate. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Sergeant Rock is expected to shoot in England this summer. As for the Batman sequel, Farrell is likely to return as the Penguin in Reeves' Batman sequel, which DC Studios hopes could be shooting by the end of the year. All sounds a little vague still, and it's no wonder there are concerns Reeves will never get cameras rolling on his long-delayed follow-up. Complicating matters is the fact that the DC Studios is moving forward with its own Batman movie, The Brave and the Bold. I signed up for 3 Batman films, and I didn't know if I'd be in the second film, Farrell said last year. Reeves is a brilliant writer and an extraordinary filmmaker, but what I'm most excited/nervous about is the second film is not what Oz does or what predicaments he finds himself in, or what moments of success he gets to experience, but what his voice is. How is his personality? It was forming and changing in the limited series, and by the end of the 8 episodes, it's concretized into something else. Is that a word? Did I even say that right? There's a degree of almost delusion. There's almost a degree of delusion present in the last scene, he continued. So how is that taken up in the second film? I was told I have 5 or 6 scenes. I don't have any hopes or any expectations. Doing the rounds to promote Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson asked if he'll begin working on the movie soon. He said, I effing hope so, he replied with a laugh. I started out as a young Batman. I'm going to be an old Batman by the sequel. But back to Sergeant Rock, the movie was written by Justin Kuritzkes, who penned Challengers and Queer for the director, and will revolve around the toughest nails leader of Easy Company, the combat fighting unit fighting Nazi forces in Europe. Batman Part 2 is supposed to be released on October 1st of 2027, while Sergeant Rock is currently undated. I mean, look. There is so much happening. And the one thing that Gunn has said is that if something is really not set or ready, he's not going to greenlight to go, which I think that is probably a good thing, to not go until you feel something good, because that's how you end up with a bunch of like shitty movies. But damn, this doesn't sound good for the ultimately. Like, I don't have a problem with Farrell playing Sergeant Rock. I don't know enough about the character. Let's all make sure to ask Coy come Capes and Cows on Friday. But this doesn't spell good things for the Batman Part 2, in my opinion. Potentially losing Farrell one way or the other because you don't want to be confused, and or scheduling conflicts and all that stuff just doesn't. None of that sounds good and worries me. It genuinely worries me about what we're going to do. It's not my problem to solve. I'll tell you that much. Like, that is obviously for Gunn and Safran to figure out how all that works. I think it would be a damn tragedy if they do not figure out how to get the Batman 2 going. You just need to do it, and we got to move on. And I don't even mean move on as in like we just need to get over it. I just mean it in the sense that like you have put an incredible universe together, or like self-contained world with the Batman. And no, I'm sorry, not Corey Chandru. I forgot about that. But yeah, man, I feel like we just got to do it. And yeah, the Big Thing crew is worldwide. I forgot Roxy is in England shooting her movie right now, and Coy is in Denmark on vacation. So like, yeah, I have a feeling that the Batman is about to become Blade. And we're probably not going to get it. We keep being told at this point, not to confuse it with the actress, Gal Gadot, but like for those that are theater kids, you're probably familiar with the play of Waiting for Godot, which is 2 people waiting for the character Godot to show up. And spoiler alert, Godot never does. They just wait the entirety of the play. It never fucking happens. This feels like, hey son, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get milk from the corner store. And that nigga never comes back. Like, that's how I'm starting to feel. I already feel that way about about Blade, and I'm starting to feel that way about the Batman Part 2 at this point, because there is going to be a point in time where people are going to age out, or they're going to lose interest. And that fucking sucks. But let me know what you think. Do you think I'm overreacting, or do you kind of feel like it's kind of where we're moving at this particular point? I don't really see an out here. Let me know where your heart is at hearing all of this, man. All right, I got one more story for you, then we'll go and read any super chats and Streamlabs that did come through. Let me make sure that is open so we can do that. And again, I appreciate any and all support, man. Definitely for those that know. If you know, you know. I had a very expensive car bill just happen. I got my car back, so I am really just trying to, recoup a little bit. So I'd appreciate any support. It is not necessary to enjoy the show. You can just enjoy the show. But like I mentioned, I am going to be doing a marathon stream on March 30th. 12 hours of streaming on March 30th. So definitely don't miss it. All right, here's our last story, man. Novocaine and The Boys actor Jack Quaid wants to star in a live-action Bioshock movie. That would be his dream role. It's Mark Julian with Comic Book Movie, which I guess they also have like a video game division for this website. I'm not sure what it's called. Gamefragger, excuse me. Gamefragger.com. Actor Jack Quaid was recently asked what his ideal role would be participating in a Reddit AMA to promote his newly released action comedy flick Novocaine. Interestingly enough, Quaid revealed that he wants to star in a Bioshock movie, as that's his favorite game. Perhaps the timing of this reveal is not so coincidental, as Netflix is currently working on just that. I would actually love to be in a live-action adaptation of Bioshock, one of my favorite games of all time. I think there's such a rich lore to the game that could be explored in a TV or movie adaptation. I've seen people say that I look like Max Payne. He does a little bit. And when I've looked at the box art, even I did a double take. I love Rockstar's games, but unfortunately I've never played that one. It's next on the list for sure. Just a few years ago, Netflix revealed intentions for a massive large-scale adaptation of the 2007 2K Boston Irrational Games first-person shooter video game Bioshock. Francis Lawrence, I Am Legend, The Hunger Games, is attached to direct, with Michael Green, Logan, and Blue Eye Samurai writing the script. The last update on the project was that Netflix was reducing the budget of the project, resulting in a more intimate story. Producer Roy Lee confirmed the news at San Diego Comic-Con 24, stating, "It's going to be a more personal point of view as opposed to a grander big project." Novocaine was recently released in North American theaters and debuted at number one domestically, albeit within a tepid box office release weekend. The film only needed to gross $8.5 million to secure first place. Wow. Of course, this wasn't the first attempt to making a live-action Bioshock film, as back in 2008, Universal Pictures secured the rights to the IP and hired Gore Verbinski, A Cure for Wellness, and Pirates of the Caribbean to direct. Verbinski and the studio clashed over the director's desire for the film to have an R rating, and the pick ultimately never made it out of development. In other related video game news, Quaid also disclosed during his Reddit AMA that he's a massive From Software fan and is currently playing through Elden Ring. I'm a huge video game nerd, and lately I've been diving headfirst into From Software library. I beat Bloodborne, then I beat Sekiro, and now I'm going full bore into Elden Ring. Actually, the thing I use Reddit the most for is tips and tricks on beating FromSoft's bosses. I love how challenging the games are. It took me a while to get into them, but now I'm obsessed. All right. Look, man, Bioshock has one of the greatest stories and twists that I've seen in video games. I would say probably 1 and 3 being Bioshock Infinite. Absolutely fantastic twist. I can agree with some folks at the very end of Bioshock, how you handle the final boss is a little contrived, but overall, the twist of when you find out what has been going on the whole time is so good. I actually just recently replayed 1 and got about halfway through 2. I need to go back and finish 2 and then do Infinite. Maybe that'll be one of the things that I start streaming is I'll replay through all 3 of them because they're so good. They're very, very fun games to play, man. And that I don't really F with horror like that, but it kind of falls more in like a thriller type scenario one way or the other. So that might not be a bad thing. The Max Payne one might not be a bad one either, since he mentioned Max Payne. But yeah, I'm very curious what you think. Let me know in the comments. All right, before we get out of here, let's go over the Streamlabs and Super Chats. I see 2 of them in there. Thank you so much for the support, man. Paige Chandri with the $2 Super Chat. Thank you so much. Just saying Blerd support. Appreciate you so much. And then Marcus M also donating a $2 Super Chat. Thank you, saying an overreaction to Farrell maybe being in a movie. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, it's we don't know yet what is really happening. And Sergeant Rock is, again, just one movie. I think the main thing that people are concerned about, and understandably so, is just the fact that, like, this shit can get confusing for folks. People don't always fully understand what's going on one way or the other. And if you start putting them in all these different roles, they might get confused. It's the same reason we've gone back and forth about Robert Pattinson being the Batman for both the Batman and for the DCU. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of the reason why people are kind of freaking out about it. And it doesn't help that we still don't really have a production timetable for the Batman Part 2. But I totally understand what you're saying, Marcus. We really just got to wait and see what actually happens. And with all that, that is going to be the show. Thank you so much for watching the Blerd Breakdown. Thank you for everybody that stuck with me. I'm sorry I was a little bit late today. Obviously, like I mentioned previously, was that traffic. Please be sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. Throw a thumbs up. I got some stuff going. I'm trying to do a better job of not announcing things until they're ready to go. And the main thing is I don't want to say something and get people's hopes up and they get upset because I didn't do it. And that's on me. Like I want to be a man of my word at all times, and so I am just going to kind of hold stuff to the chest until, hey, it's ready to drop, and then we'll do that going forward. But that being said, I do have some fun stuff coming up, so we will do that. The main thing is the marathon stream March 30th. Put it in your calendars. I'll be here for 12 hours. Lots of stuff, man. Watch movies together, playing games together, doing some Jackbox together. All of that. And let's look at the end of this poll here. Let me go ahead and end it. So it looks like that you guys would understand if I needed to move it back to 6 p.m. that y'all would still be rocking with it. I do understand that some folks, that's pretty late if you're international, things like that. The main reason for it is just, like I said, this will give me an opportunity to work some more with my day job. It at least opens up my schedule. And again, after this expensive-ass car bill, I am trying to recoup whatever losses I can. So with that being said, thank you again for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, check out one of the other videos that are popping up right here. Otherwise, I will see y'all on the flip, y'all. Peace.